Ahoy, me hearties! You've loved him on General Hospital, Melrose Place, The Bold and the Beautiful, and for the past dozen years on When Calls the Heart. Yes, it's Jack Wagner. Next on Brio TV, the podcast. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. Bill Brio here. Now, for over 40 years, Jack Wagner has been a fan favorite on some of TV's top-rated soaps. Who else had a cooler soap character name than Wagner as Frisco Jones? Man, Frisco Jones, a gig that spanned 3 decades off and on General Hospital. Early in that run, he topped the charts with a record that went gold in Canada and the U.S. with a song produced by Quincy Jones titled All I Need. And when he wasn't acting, he was golfing, coming from nowhere to win the American Century Celebrity Golf Classic. To this day, he's the only non-professional athlete to win that annual competition. Runs on other shows such as Santa Barbara, Melrose Place, and The Bold and the Beautiful followed, before Wagner crossed the border into Canada to join When Calls the Heart. He's now into his 12th season as local judge Bill Avery on the wholesome Pioneer Town series. On this Saturday's episode, and note that's premiering a day earlier than usual on Super Channel Heart and Home, as well as on Hallmark. So Saturday, there's some football game on Sunday. But you'll see Wagner as Judge Avery, and he meets up with his old friend, Georgie McGill, played by a perfect guest star for this series, Melissa Gilbert, a former Little House on the Prairie alumni. As Wagner says, it's time Judge Avery got a little romance on the series. So here he is, Hearties, Jack Wagner. Well, it's a delight to meet you, sir. And thanks very much. You're excited? I'm sure this episode is airing Saturday, a special episode with Melissa Gilbert. And congratulations on your run on When Calls the Heart. I've been to the set. It's really quite spectacular to visit. It must be fun to go there to work on that outdoor location near Langley, BC. There, do you get to drive the antique cars? I mean, there's got to be some fun associated with this place, right?
Well, first off, thanks for having me, and secondly, thanks for your kind words. And I'm glad that you've been up to Hope Valley. That's fantastic. So you actually understand and get a feel for what it's like in that pioneer town, like an authentic pioneer town, right?
Yeah, like I was there, I think the first season, so whatever that is, 11, 12 years ago, I got to ride in a stagecoach, which was a bone-jarring experience. They didn't have the cars back then, but I just thought it was sort of like a little Disneyland Main Street, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. We do a Hearties family reunion. The fan base are they call themselves Hearties, right, Bill? So, and we tweet on X with them and have, every episode for 12 years. So it's like a relationship we have. So they call themselves #Hearties. And, we have a Hearty family reunion now every year. We're anywhere from 200 to 400. We have a sort of a convention hall where we do a panel, and then they actually go to the set and they, get to experience the saloon and the jail cell and all the sets. So I'm glad you got up there. It really is it's a special place as an actor, especially because once you get your wardrobe and work your way up to set, it really makes a difference.
I'm sure it does. It puts you in mind of what you're doing. You're not, of course, very familiar with fan bases. You bring your own from your career from General Hospital and several other shows, Santa Barbara, Melrose Place. But what is it about the Hearties, do you think, that is different than that other experience?
I would say the time. I think we're in a time, especially in the last 10 or 12 years when the show started airing, that people really want to have some safe television. They want to be able to watch something where they fall in love with the characters. And I'll give credit to Erin Krakow, our lead actress. And the audience has really fallen in love with her journey. And the rest of the cast Pascal Hutton and Kevin Smith and myself, and now the two lead boys, men, Kevin McGarry and Chris McNally, along with the rest of the community. I think the audience just has fallen in love with Elizabeth's journey and now the community of Hope Valley and all of our journeys. And we make it our goal when we start to do scene work. We rehearse it. Bill, we really look and try to find how do we raise the bar in this scene? Does it need more comedy? Does it need a different, direction? The directors collaborate with us because, most of us have been around a while. We're pros. They trust that our instincts will guide everything to make the scene better and better. And so that's what we proudly take on as cast members.
Yeah, Jack, it shows. I watched the episode that's coming up. It's very well done. And not only that, what surprised me, and I agree with you that it's the times and people cherish that notion of this century experience. But, there's messages there about the environment, diversity. Like, it's subtle, but it's actually kind of modern in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, and empowering women.
Yeah, well, of course.
I think that's a primary message.
Yeah,
all through this show, and has been, and it's only grown with the strong female characters. I don't think it's emasculated the male characters, but what I think it's done is opened everyone's eyes to, wow, look how far we've come, right, Bill? And in 100 years, basically, this show is 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's pretty hilarious. I watched, and, in this episode coming up, poor Erin, her character is under the weather for the first time ever, and she's sort of hallucinating, and she's got these little fantasies going on about McGarry. It's the female gaze, like it's quite flipped, and it's pretty fun, it's pretty funny.
Good. I'm glad you said that because, we have to push the envelope. We got to move these people along, right? And this is part of it. I think, a dream in a fever, and it turns into some sort of bit of a racy dream sequence. And I think it's a great way to sort of introduce any type of, stronger romance. We'll call it a sexuality between our two lead characters without, disturbing the audience in any way. It's not meant that way. It's meant to be like, wow, this is a dream sequence, and nobody can control their dreams. And I think it's a great shot in the arm.
I can't see any Hearties objecting to this. I think it'll go over well.
Good news.
Yeah. Now, you're associated. You mentioned some other cast names here that go back to the beginning. You're one of them. That's a great run. Did you have any notion at the start that this is something you'd be doing in 2025?
I don't think any actor can say they know that ever, but I do know that when I did start, Bill Abbott was, the CEO of Hallmark at the time, and it was so funny the way there was a cast dinner. They had asked me to do the first 2 episodes of season 2. And there was this sort of cast dinner, the executive producer and this and that. And Bill literally was across the table and went, "You want to do the whole season?" And I went, "Yeah, sure." And so that's literally how my deal was struck. And I've, been there ever since. The only thing I would say why I thought this show probably had some longevity is because Hallmark was just starting to work on series or do series work. And I think it was hungry for that. I think it was branded properly. And the fact that this is a period piece, Bill, right? Mm-hmm. So everything is safe. We're not showing naked bodies. We're not showing sex scenes. We're not showing blood if somebody gets shot. We're not doing any of that. And as I said before, I think this time where we are, where, our phones now, everything is so available, anything, right? That people really love to have safe television that is charming and funny and romantic. And I think it makes them feel good because this is a heartwarming show.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's so much brutal reality on television right now, certainly in the news, certainly in Canada right now, but also even in scripted fare, and for years, you've had, there's stuff I don't even want to, it's heralded and acclaimed, but it just gives, it's just a little too intense for me. I look for comedy.
And that's okay. There's clearly an audience for that, and it's fantastic. I've seen some amazing shows that as an actor, I'm going, oh my God, I'm a little jealous. I don't get to do that. I've got to look perfect. I've got to, I can't do this. I can't do that. But on the other hand, when I flip that, it's like, I get to do this. Mm-hmm. I get to work out in the gym at 65 years old. I get to try to continue to be a leading man. I get to do these things, right? I'm not going to be on Outlander. I'm not going to be on The Jackal. That's not where I am right now. Mm-hmm. Those shows that show violence and sex and nudity. Right. Yeah. That's all great. Listen, that's fantastic. That's not what we do here, and that's okay, right?
Yeah. For sure. No. And do you also get to golf in Canada while you're in between takes? You've got an amazing record.
Thank you.
And won so many tournaments. It's really astounding. So, I'm sure much better golf in California, but what about BC? Have you shot a few rounds?
Yeah, I'll go hit balls up there every now and then. I don't bring my clubs. I've found the older I've gotten, I'm not into chasing around go play golf, etc. I just played in a tournament, the LPGA event down in Orlando, literally 2 days ago, and I was second place going into the last day. I shot 69 on Saturday. I really hadn't had put together a tournament for quite a while where I, could get under par for a couple of days, and I did that and wound up finishing seventh, but. I just found a little magic in my game this past week, and it was on NBC and the Golf Channel with the LPGA Tournament of Champions, the Hilton Grand Vacation. So speaking of that, I'm so grateful, that I still work at it a lot. I still love the game. And to be doing this, Bill, 35 years after that American Century started in Lake Tahoe. Yeah. And then had a run of series I've been on is please, I have to pinch myself.
The only non-professional athlete to have won the American Century Celebrity Golf Classic.
Bless you, my friend. Bless you.
No, it's incredible. And I'll tell you a quick story. I don't want to waste time here, but I was talking to, I don't know if you know Michael Chiklis, who acted in many things. So he's a bit of a golfer, and he got to go into one of these celebrity things last minute. And he found out he was taking Sean Connery's place. This is how long ago this was. And he walks in and there's like a full leather golf bag and it's like he already won just walking into the hotel room. Like the gift stuff was pretty cool. He's paired with Ray Floyd, shoots out of his mind. He's carrying Ray Floyd. They win the tournament. And Jack Nicholas is so upset. He hunts down his club pro and asks, is this really this guy's handicap? He couldn't believe how well he did. You must have similar stories in these Pro-Am tournaments, right?
Well, the best part of your story is I played a lot of golf with Sean Connery.
Really?
I've been a member of Bel Air Country Club for 40 years, and Sean was a member there, so we played a lot of golf together. So that's one of my little things in my hip pocket that people say, "Oh, wow," because playing with 00 is pretty amazing.
Did you drop a gold bar on the green at one point just to distract him? Maybe
That is when he started, by the way. Goldfinger. That's when he got addicted to golf. Sean.
Really?
So I'd ask him stories about that. I would pick his brain about stuff every now and then when I felt it was appropriate. But I know Michael briefly. I know Ray Floyd pretty well over the years. And listen, some days you have good days in those Pro-Ams. It's just how it goes.
Pretty cool. That's good. Good for you. Well, that's pretty cool. Back in a moment with When Calls the Heart's Jack Wagner. Hey, have you been watching the new season of When Calls the Heart on Super Channel? The Shot in BC series is back on Heart and Home with more stories set in the 1920s about family, community, and romance. Look for a special guest, Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie, way back then, as Georgie McGill, who shares a surprising past with one key resident of Hope Valley. Thursdays on Super Channel Fuse, look for more new episodes of Fake. Magazine writer Bertie Bell meets Joe Burt on a dating app and thinks she's found her perfect match, but is her boyfriend all he's cracked up to be? Over on Super Channel Quest, check out Secrets in the Ice, which is not about the Toronto Maple Leafs never winning another Stanley Cup, but examines history once frozen in time. That's all this month, plus tons of movies and more on Super Channel, available via most cable providers across the country, as well as streaming live and on demand with Amazon Prime Video channels, Apple TV Plus, and Fubo. And we're back with Jack. Now, let's talk a bit about this episode with Melissa Gilbert. Had you met her before?
Well, a funny story I'll tell you is Melissa came up. We shot our stuff in 2 days. She gets back home and she texts me and goes, I think we both forgot we were on Dancing with the Stars season 14 together. And I'm like going, what? No, we weren't. I was on with Donald Driver, Maria Munoz. She goes, Gavin McGraw. She goes, yes, and Sherry Shepard. And I go, oh no, we both forgot. So we indirectly, we were just so busy doing our thing, we kind of forgot that. But having her join the show was just terrific. She was a delight.
Yeah, there's a lovely scene aboard a train where the two of you're getting reacquainted. Your characters have some history, we're led to believe, and it's setting up a visit, bringing you back from your current job as the judge at Hope Valley and back into your old sheriff days, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I think we set that up in the jail cell, and she's got to go investigate this. And I said, well, I think I could take an afternoon. I could come out of retirement for an afternoon. So it's this train sequence where we actually start to tell their backstory.
Yeah, it's a sweet scene. And I understand that she is going to continue. She's coming up in a future episode this season as well, right?
Yes. She comes later on towards, I think it's episode 11. And it's fantastic. I love the way the writers did this. They did it tastefully. They did it just enough, I think, to establish something that's really terrific for me personally, as well as my character, Bill, to have a potential love interest for Bill. Because, playing a bit of the patriarch of Hope Valley, I love that role. But I think we're always looking to shift into something, what's the next chapter, right? And so this has potential to be something I think that fans would enjoy, the women that watch this show, to see a romance for Bill Avery.
Right. Well, it makes perfect sense. And Melissa's back in episode 10, according to Adrian.
Episode 10.
Yeah.
Terrific.
That's established part of When Calls the Heart. You guys have had guest stars in the past. I know Brooke Shields, I believe, a few seasons back, and even way back, James Brolin played a judge, right?
James came on when I came on, the end of season 1.
Right.
And I stayed, and then Brooke Shields came on, I think it was season 2 or 3 for, an arc. And now we have Melissa.
Yeah, works out well. She seems just perfect for this show, right? From her little house roots and everything.
From one prairie to another. That's how we're framing it, Bill.
There you go. Writes itself. Let's talk a bit about your career. Quickly, just go through a few highlights. I've been covering television for a long time. I used to work for TV Guide Canada, and I remember Melrose Place and things. You were on that show, of course. But you have this great career in soaps with certainly General Hospital, of course, and Bold and the Beautiful. Jack, Frisco Jones, is that not the best soap opera name ever?
Ever, right?
I mean,
ever.
That's better than Victor Newman.
Forget about it, right? I would mention I was at the golf tournament this weekend in Orlando, the LPGA event, and it never ends. It's the first thing out of usually a woman's mouth when they meet me is like, you don't understand. You don't understand. Frisco. Yeah, it's still Frisco. What a great part to really launched my career back in 1983, Bill. And like you said, it's the name just has a catch to it.
It must have been a very heady time, Jack, because you weren't just a soap star. You became, a sensation in music. You charted in Canada and the U.S. top 2 or 3, right? With
I got to correct you there, Bill. It's number 1 adult contemporary. Okay, number 2 pop. Okay, gold record in Canada, gold record in America.
I stand corrected.
I'm not letting that slide. I got to clean this up. Okay.
No, please. You're going to be very busy correcting me, but thank you.
No. Listen, I was number 2 on the pop chart behind "Like a Virgin," Madonna.
Really?
For 3 weeks, and then I was number 1 on the adult contemporary in America for 3 weeks.
And how old were you when this all happened?
I was on General Hospital, and it happened 84, 85. And I was right at, my first year and a half on General Hospital. And I had signed with Quincy Jones because my character, when I got cast on this, check this out, Bill. I had to go in for my 5th screen test because it was a nationwide manhunt for this Briscoe Jones character. Yeah. And ABC called right before and said, "Do you happen to play the guitar or sing by chance?" And I went, "Yeah, I do." So I went in and did this Kenny Loggins tune. I brought my guitar and did this tune called "Wait a Little While." Wait a little while to welcome what you're after. Right? So I do this song. I finish the scene. I get the part. And my first day of work, I have to go to the recording studio and record these 2 songs for Blackie and the Riff Raffs band. I come on as a singer on John Stamos's band. And I'm like, I've never been in a recording studio. I'm a song and dance guy from the theater. And the woman who was in charge of ABC television came from the music business. And she heard me sing. She was there at the session. And afterwards she said, "Would you by chance be interested in a record deal?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, her best friend was Quincy Jones. I met with Quincy and Herbie Hancock 2 nights later and had dinner and signed with Quincy. And my first record was "All I Need."
Wow. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot. So you're literally performing in concerts with great musicians. You've got a hit tune. That would turn a lot of guys' heads right around. Like, how did you keep yours at that time?
Well, I think one of the best parts, one of the best aspects I had as a gift was being from the Midwest. I'm from Missouri, right? Yeah. I was there for 19 years, Bill. And I was just, I was raised around hard work, so I was very ambitious. It wasn't like, oh, I'm in Hollywood. I was on a soap opera. I sometimes had 50 pages of dialogue a day. Yeah. Okay. It wasn't like this was an A-list, movie star career. This was a very hard-working industry. I got a break in this music industry. I put a band together from a guy that was a waiter I waited tables with, was a keyboard player, and I got a guy from here, and then I met a guy here, and all of a sudden I'm on the road, and I was very ambitious and was hungry to sing, and that's how I rolled. I still roll that way. I just love the process of working. I love to work at things, and that's how I felt then.
Well, you must, because I've often thought the soap opera, serials, as you say, all the pages of dialogue, it's daily. And how do you just have an exceptional memory? What helps you got through all of that work?
Yeah, definitely. I think anybody on a soap has to have a very good memory, but it's like a muscle. If you do a bunch of curls or push-ups, those muscles are going to get bigger. And when you're rehearsing lines, we call it power running. You run these lines, power run it over and over, and you try to formulate the best performance you can in a short period of time, right? Yeah. We had much more time back then in the 80s. We shot all day into the night. Now they do, anywhere from 50 to 80 scenes a day on a soap opera and crunch this down and do probably 6 weeks of work in 3 weeks. So they've had to meet some budget crisis on soap operas, but it was a great training ground in terms of knowing my lines, hitting my mark, and understanding the speed part of television compared to film work. Okay. So now on When Calls the Heart, this is film. This is a nighttime series, right? Yeah. So there's much more time, but we shoot 2 hours of television in 14 days, which is a lot. Okay, right. Bill. So we are a cast that is very well rehearsed, very prepared, and we love hard work.
It's probably the perfect combination to come from that world to shoot a Canadian-made series because, it's a little more accelerated. They don't have the endless day schedule. You're right.
No.
It works out really well.
Because when I went to Melrose Place, there's a nighttime series. So we had tons of time, big budget series,
right.
Very different than a soap opera. Then I go to Bold and the Beautiful for 8 years over to CBS, right? And so that's back to the old pattern that I was used to, okay? And then I moved to, nighttime here with When Calls the Heart. So I've had the luxury, it's been all television. I'm not a film star by any means, but I'm beyond grateful to have had this journey in television that I've had.
No kidding. Mr. Jack Wagner will be back after this short message. Well, February is here, and it's packed with a mountain of new entertainment on Paramount+. Don't miss the new series Watson, starring Morris Chestnut. This is a modern spin on the Sherlock Holmes tale, with Chestnut as Dr. Watson, back treating rare disorders 6 months after the death of his friend and partner, Sherlock Holmes. For reality buffs, there is a 5th season of The Challenge All-Stars featuring 26 cast members from shows like The Real World, Big Brother, Survivor, and others, and they're all competing for a grand prize. Come Valentine's Day, catch the 2nd season premiere of NCIS Sydney, as well as the new reality series The Wranglers, set at Montana's Circle Bar Dude Ranch. Look for the new all-Canadian feature, Aberdeen, about an indomitable middle-aged Indigenous climate change refugee forced from her home due to flooding. Finally, don't miss the 2nd season of Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone origin story, 1923, starring both Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. This month, you'll find No Yellowstone Unturned on Paramount+. Time once again to speak with Emily Gagne at Hollywood Suite. Emily, what do you got for us this month?
Well, it's Black History Month, Bill, so we're celebrating Black excellence with some incredible titles from throughout Black cinema history. We've got a ton of Spike Lee stuff, Do the Right Thing, The Inside Man, but we also have some lesser known titles like The Watermelon Woman, which is a really, really cool movie from the 90s that's a precursor to a queer Black cinema.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Wow. I have not seen that. And any Canadian titles?
Yes, we have this film Guess Who, which is about the mummering, which is an act in, I guess, Newfoundland, where kind of like trick-or-treating, where you go door to door in costumes. Anyways, it's a horror movie about that. So guess who's coming to dinner, and Guess Who on Hollywood Suite this month.
Look, there's a good theme. Don't miss it. February on Hollywood Suite. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, Bill.
Here he is again, Hearties, Jack Wagner. Tell me, when you're doing The Bold and the Beautiful, that was shot at Television City, I presume, at CBS. I always thought that was quite a magic place. I've been inside there. I know everything from The Price is Right to Bill Maher shoot there, Dancing with the Stars that you were on, I believe, shot there. You must have great feel or memories, and that's a place that's changing now and kind of in a transition, but hopefully will remain a studio. But just tell me a bit about your feelings for working in that particular studio.
Well, the way you put it, I don't reflect back on it like that, but it's true. I would go to Price is Right. I guest starred on there a couple times. I could hear them from my dressing room because their wall was right where my dressing room was,
funny.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you go to the commissary and get lunch, and they're the actors from Young and the Restless because they were the soundstage next to The Bold and the Beautiful, right? And then you go right out to the Grove, which is this beautiful area in Los Angeles there that touches CBS Studios. And then when I finished with Bold and the Beautiful, I went right to Dancing with the Stars, and it's shot on that lot. So yes, it's like this little compound, I would call it.
I used to love visiting the farmer's market right there. I guess it's just still a corner of it, right? It's
right.
It's almost like something you'd find on When Calls the Heart at this point.
Right.
So Melrose Place, give me an Aaron Spelling story. I imagine you must have met him at some point in that production. Do you have any memories of Aaron?
Yeah, he was actually a lovely man. He was very good to actors. He loved actors. And it started my directing career, and it ended there because I love directing, and quite a few of the actors directed. Michael Mancini and what was his name? The guy who played Michael Mancini, and Rob Estes directed. And so, Aaron was great. And he also understood television. He understood story and what sold. And I think he was able to, again, timing is everything, right? I think that the timing of that show, 90210, it had graduated from the Dallases and the Dynasties into I would call it a more sort of contemporary sexiness of the 90s, right, Bill?
Yeah.
With the cast and the storylines.
Yeah, for sure. I've talked to others too. Jason Priestley was on 90210 from Vancouver, and at a very young age, Spelling let him direct it a couple episodes. He just with the advice, don't screw this up, kid. And he didn't say screw. The responsibility was there. Yeah. So pretty cool.
Aaron was old school. He was a very old school Hollywood TV guy, right? And I love that part about him because he treated us like that. There wasn't this hard edge thing. He let other people, if there was anything that needed to be done, he wouldn't do it directly. Right. Because he was, this Hollywood icon that understood, as I said, television. He understood TV, right? Oh, yeah. And how to make it sell.
Yeah. No, like few others ever.
Yes.
And just you're also and do you have any interest in directing? Have you directed on When Calls the Heart?
I haven't. I would probably love to, but there's so many rules because of the tax breaks we get up in Vancouver with Canada.
That's true.
It's really I just kind of move along as an actor. I hit my mark. I know my lines, and I'm really happy with that.
Right.
But I do collaborate a lot with the directors, with the writers, a lot. Even if this last couple episodes you've watched, there's scenes that I'm in that weren't anything like they wound up. And it's that trust and that collaboration, I think, that makes our show, I would call it malleable, right? We're able to take what we get on the script, and if it's great, let's shoot it. But if it is missing some things because there's been transitions in writers, Bill, in showrunners. So when that happens, there's a hunk of a story that has been cut out, but there's still 2 scenes left from it that got into the script somehow. Like it just happens, right? Sometimes. Yeah. So that just needs to get cleaned up.
That scene on the train is one between you and Melissa. It's very deliberate, and it's a lovely little moment in the show, and it's different from other scenes. Yeah, so you can see your thumbprints there.
Thank you.
Now, you also shoot, I presume, the Wedding March films for Hallmark. Were they also shot in BC as well?
Yeah, they were shot in Harrison Hot Springs, up a little bit north of or east of Vancouver. Yeah, so we shot that franchise up there. It was terrific working with Josie. To do rom-com on the Hallmark Channel was terrific. So, I don't know if there's any more of those down the road, but we kind of wrapped it up with their marriage after six movies. So it was a great run. Yeah,
and you stuck some music in there as well, right?
Yeah, it was great for me to keep on the pulse of my music. I would take songs I'd written from the past or recorded, and I'd re-record them or play them live. Because I played a music teacher as well to a group of, students, younger students. So I was always incorporating, and my character, I kind of based it off myself, was a pop star from the 80s and now has this wedding lodge and, the love of his life from college, is getting married there. And it's a drop the platter moment when they see each other. And thus we have a franchise of movies.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Just wrap things up. Thank you for being so generous with your time, Jack. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
I just wanted to quickly ask, what are you watching now? Do you have a chance to watch much TV? Are you streaming anything?
I got to tell you, I've really fallen in love with Outlander. I've just kind of dug it. Just finished The Jackal. And what's the thing with Lisa Kudrow, Ray Romano, Luke Wilson?
Oh, yeah. That's a new show. Is that Apple TV Plus?
Yeah. Because I know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I know Ray and Luke and those guys, and so I love to keep on the pulse of, these are the things that I don't get to do, but then again, look what I get to do. So
yeah,
I jealously watch as an audience member, some things that are cutting edge that have so much kind of smart comedy and dangerous things and violence. And then, I get to go to Hope Valley and do my thing.
Do you ever watch Slow Horses? Is one show I really
Oh, yes. I've gotten to Slow Horses. Genius.
Pretty good, huh? Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Gary Oldman's just one of my favorite actors ever.
Yeah, tremendous.
Yeah. Love Slow Horses.
Have you had a chance to see anything like a Canadian show of any kind over the years?
River, what's
Heartland? Is that
No, anything Kevin McGarry's on, I don't really watch. What, Bill?
No, I don't.
I told him that every day. Look, he's always trying to show me, hey, look at this scene from Heartland. No, I can't. Look,
right.
I think, as far as I'm concerned, are you even on this show?
You've got to draw the line somewhere. Yeah, I understand. What about when you were a youngster? Was there a show that you grew up on as a kid that you would race home from school, or you just have great memories of?
Oh, yeah. Gilligan's Island, Leave It to Beaver. I mean, we're dating ourselves here now, Bill, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then, what I really love to watch now are old clips of All in the Family, how genius, that show was. And
hard to believe they got away with all of those.
Oh, my gosh. Right.
I remember watching that with my parents and my dad just shaking his head, but laughing his head off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, today you'd be arrested.
Finally, do you have a favorite all-time TV theme song?
It's got to be the theme music from The Masters.
Oh, nice. No one else has picked that.
No.
And you don't have to sing it either, Jack. It's there's no lyrics.
No, you just hear Jim Nance's buttery voice kind of just come over that little theme music, and you just know it's that week. It's that week. It's Masters.
Yeah.
It's the week of the Masters.
Well, it's going to come around again in April, I guess. It's exciting times in golf. It seems to be a sport that's in a transition, getting more international. I'm sure as a fan, you're all over it, right?
No, I mean, I know that Live Golf started and, they bought a bunch of players for a ton of money and they're creating, I'm a bit of a traditionalist in a lot of areas in my life. I'm a bit old school. So I'm not crazy about, shorts and tunes playing, blasting and all of that,
right.
and team golf. I like what I just saw AT&T Pebble Beach this past weekend. I like golf tournaments that really matter. That feels too casual for me.
Pebble Beach, a favorite course?
Well, I won the AT&T in 1991. My name's on the wall up there, Bill, with John Cook.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's got a real history with me and touches me every time because not many people get their name on the wall at the first tee at Pebble Beach.
And I should ask Jack, and I apologize for not even touching on this earlier, but there's been these terrible wildfires in California. I presume you live near LA.
I live in LA. Yeah, okay. I wasn't at risk, but so many people. It's almost like you're watching something that's not real, is what it felt like. Because to think that there could actually be a firestorm that took out, basically Pacific Palisades and Malibu, like to drive PCH so many years, and all those houses and just what Malibu is and Pacific Palisades, and to see it all burned and the destitution and pain that people have been feeling is heartbreaking. It just breaks your heart because it's like it's not real because you just can't imagine something like that happening.
No, it's so shocking. I go for years. I went down to Pasadena with a lot of TV critics for the TCA press tours. And, I've been to Altadena and different spots there, and can't imagine folks who've lost homes and so much destruction. So it's terrible. I don't really want to end it there, Jack, but I know you have a busy schedule, and I appreciate your time today. And I know that Adrian has a mess. I got a message she needs to talk to you. So
you got it.
Thank you so much for your time today, and congratulations on When Calls the Heart. Just remind people, Saturday, it's usually on Sunday, but I think there's some football game
this Saturday. Special this Saturday.
Yeah.
Melissa Gilbert has her premiere. Because of the Super Bowl, we're moving it, but you can stream it on Hallmark Plus.
That's right.
And then we'll be back to our regular schedule on Sunday evenings for the rest of the year. And Bill, thank you for having me and being so well versed in so many things that we talked about. I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you, Jack. I'm surprised we haven't spoken till now, but I'm glad to get caught up and hope to talk to you again and remind people.
Season 13, 14, and 15 of When Calls the Heart, you'll be going, wow, what the hell?
I wouldn't bet against it. Boy, I hear from the Hearties every time. So
I love it.
Thank you for this. And people can, of course, watch it on Super Channel, Heart and Home in Canada.
Yes. So love the Canadian Super Channel up there, how they support the show. And just in general, I've found that working in Canada, it's just such lovely people, really hardworking crew, kind, generous people. I love Canada.
Well, it sounds like you fit right in, Jack. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, I want to thank Adrian Kukulis at Rise Public Relations and all at Super Channel for setting up that interview with Jack Wagner. My thanks, as always, to producer Phil Hong for another bold and beautiful episode. A shout out as well to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudreau, and all the Crispy Critters, as well as piano man Stephen Dudley for the music heard on these episodes. Finally, thanks to you, listener. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.